2024 meeting to order. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who's going to do the roll call? Lauren? Here.
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 Rachel is trying to get on. She just texted.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Would someone like to address the council? Anyone like to address the council? Seeing none, we'll move on. There is no recognition tonight. We're at minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 3rd regular meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstaining?
I'm going to abstain, Mayor.
I'm going to abstain. The motion passes.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 3rd, 2024 special town meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections?
Yes, and specifically the 6:30 special town meeting. On the last page, it says fiscal year is June 30th with PH, and it should be as in like fiscal financial year end.
Anything else? All those in favor of the minutes as corrected, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
I'm abstaining.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 3rd special town meeting, 6:45.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any corrections to these?
I have a correction.
Yes.
On page 4, Congresswoman Hayes' first name is misspelled.
Okay. We'll see that that's corrected. All those in favor of the corrected minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
I'm abstaining.
And I'm abstaining for all the June 3rd meeting as well. All of them, all the meetings
Okay,
that
so we
day.
have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not a quorum.
You don't need a quorum, do you? Just a majority on those?
Well,
Yeah, just a majority.
Rachel did get on now.
did Rachel get on?
Yeah.
Okay. Is Rachel in favor of the minutes?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, thank you. That will make 5, so we're okay. Under Chairman's report, we have correspondence from Elizabeth Porter, who was a member of the Bicentennial Maintenance Gazebo Committee, and she has resigned. Do we have a report from Public Works?
Yes, we did have our meeting, and we did not have it here in the chambers like we normally do. We had it at the Public Highway Garage, which was very eye-opening for, I think, almost everybody that was there. Some of the conditions that they have to live through, what equipment has to be placed outside, and the total need for a new building. Basically took the majority of the meeting. We did discuss the Wilson Street Bridge and how that is still on target for, to be completed by July 4th, and some other road work that's going on in town.
Thank you. Town Manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Just to update, I did go down and take a look at the mirror building at the bottom of Echo Lake Road to evaluate to see if that would be an option for us to maybe use as a highway department. Jerry Lukowski also took a look at it. We don't think that that building would be sufficient enough for our needs. So we will make a pass on that piece of property or even address bringing that up for something for you to consider. We did have a successful statewide exercise with the police, fire, EMD, and our election officials. It was a statewide exercise surrounding our upcoming presidential election. We worked through a scenario with the state. We found some areas where we can use some improvement, and we found that we have done a lot of pre-work to anything of this nature to move forward. I'd like to give Lisa Dalton a lot of credit. She actually took charge of the whole event, and she ran it as a town clerk, giving a lot of eye-opening information to the department heads who were in attendance. I did do a second-round interview for the finance director. We have made an offer, and we're waiting on a response from that individual. And that is all I have for you today.
Okay. Under new business, item A.
I move to appoint Robert Wills, 132 Porter Street, Watertown, as the Veterans Council appointment on the Bicentennial Gazebo Committee to fill the vacancy of the former veterans appointee, Mr. Vaughn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstaining? Motion passes unanimously.
I move that an appropriation be authorized of up to $411,000 from the general fund to the health fund. The amount should be allocated as follows: up to $287,700 to the Board of Education budget, and up to $123,300 to the town budget. The appropriation is needed to close out the 2023-2024 health fund expenses.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mark, would you address this, please?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman. So basically, Ms. Guerrera has worked through with Ms. Kachuba on the Board of Education to understand where this shortfall came. I'm not going to try to explain that to you. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Guerrera to give you an explanation, and then we can answer questions if needed.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So like Mark said, Marie and I had worked through the town and Board of Ed accounts for the health fund, and I just wanted to pinpoint some key items that are causing the shortfall. The biggest explanation is our unanticipated claims, which would be from individuals' procedures or medication. This is a confidential issue on individuals, but it was unanticipated, and you can't control what was budgeted versus what procedures and medication people take. The other item that we found that was not projected was an increase direct from Cigna to increase our minimum balance held, which is currently at $114,000. They asked us to up it by $62,000, which would leave us with a balance of $176,000 just to cover anticipated regular everyday costs. So those were the items we found that were significant in asking for this. We're requesting up to $411,000, and basically that is on $211,000 is our fixed administrative costs, and we estimated for the rest of this week there is 4 business days left in the month, so $50,000 a day based off of what we've been seeing in claims coming in. Multiplied by the next 4 days would be the other $200,000. So that plus the fixed administrative costs that are due at the year end come up with what we're asking in terms of that. Moving forward, Marie and I sat together and came up with a way that we can monitor and improve our health fund. So what we decided was, moving forward, we will sit together monthly and reconcile in a detailed manner what the health fund has in terms of revenue and expenses, make sure we understand what is going into them and that they're accounted for in the correct accounts. It's been monitored, but we feel we need to do it a little bit more detailed, and in person would make it better, and we can report on that if you have any questions on the details. Another improvement is we will be working with Cigna to evaluate our account on a fiscal year versus what they're currently doing is a plan year. Our fiscal year runs from July to June. Their plan year runs from April to May, so you're really not comparing same timeframes, and things can happen in different months, so we'll be working with them to change that to run July to June. Another cost savings would be working with our new broker, One Digital, compared to what we had with R&J. We expect to see overall decreases in the expenses of what they charge for their services compared to R&J. And the final way that we plan to improve is during union negotiations. We plan to present the cost savings ideas One Digital have recommended to the town and Board of Ed. And as long as the union is on board with that, we should see a savings there as well.
Very good. I think it's important for the layperson to understand the problem you have when your fiscal year doesn't line up with your plan year. Because you're budgeting for a fiscal year, but you've got an extra 3 months you get hit with at the end.
Correct.
And it just doesn't work. So your plan going forward sounds great to me. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
You have a quick question. Can you remind me why we don't need to do a public meeting for this? I forgot if it was something in the charter or what it was that allowed us not to have to do that for this dollar amount.
It's based on the letter written by the town attorney that this is an obligation that has to be met. It does not have to go in front of the public. It's under your purview to approve that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair, it's Rachel. I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Rachel.
I'm just wondering if there's a study of medical expenses year to year. I understand that insurance companies would, generally know what to expect. So it seems like if we had that information, that we might have been able to anticipate an overflow of $400,000, or, as Mary Ann pointed out, knowing that the 2 years don't line up, looking at past years' data to anticipate that. I know maybe this is just extremely unusual, but I would think that there would be data that really could help us in this situation. Am I misunderstanding this, or does that make sense?
So we have worked with One Digital and Cigna to address those issues. We did look at the actual claims. I was actually on the phone today with One Digital to look at last year's amounts because, of course, my concern is that maybe we didn't budget enough for this coming year. But we think that with the savings that are projected through the fees from changing brokers and any additional changes that we make in the plan year, that we'll be in a better position. By going to a quarterly or a monthly reconciliation, we'll be able to actually look at the claims and have better documentation to understand that. We do have some we want to keep obviously our staff members, their information confidential, and that's something we have to work through to kind of identify that. But I agree that we'll be looking at this on a monthly basis and reporting, unless you decide different, on a quarterly basis to the council, and if the Board of Education agrees, they would be reported to the Board of Education as well on a quarterly basis.
Very good. Anybody else?
Madam Chair, may I have a follow-up question, please?
Did she said she has a follow-up question? Yes, go ahead.
I'm wondering if, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. I know you just went through a list of different places where we might see some savings working with One Digital and looking at the accounts more closely, but have you done the math to know or to have any sort of projection as to the specific dollar amount of savings that we might see with the actions that you described that you would take?
No, I tell that.
We don't have actual dollar amounts at this point. We do have the savings that we saved on the broker, and I believe that was approximately $225,000, if I remember correctly. The additional savings will be looking at the plan itself and then working with our unions to negotiate different options moving forward. Just to add some further information, when I did speak with One Digital today, this ask for the $400,000 is within the 3% margin of error for budgeting. So they did say it was very common for budgets to come within that 2 to 3%, and we're in that that our request is within that range. So it wasn't that alarming to them as brokers.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I have one more question, if that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Mark, first of all, that was helpful information at the end there about the 2 to 3%. But I had one other question about, I know the savings was built into the budget already, and I know that the superintendent took that into account when she built her budget, and then the town council obviously cut the Board of Education budget. So I don't understand how that will then help going forward, because, I mean, I guess I'd have to talk to the superintendent about this, but I assume, you know, she's already built those $200,000 into her savings when she built her budget. Is that, am I making myself clear?
I don't know what
I
you're
think you
saying.
did make yourself clear, and I would add, there's one piece that we did not really mention, is that as we went through this exercise, we realized that the town's perspective on the health fund and funding and the Board of Education's expectations and understanding of funding are a little bit different. So as we move forward, we do have to enter into an MOU, a memo of understanding, and lay out our business practices and expectations to move forward. We've already started working on building that. There are several points that were brought up by our broker. I then turned that over to the town attorney. We were going to have further discussions with the broker and the town attorney so that we were on the same page. As we go through these exercises and have identified some misunderstandings, you know, those are the things that we really need to document so that at some point in the future, when you have a new town manager or a business manager or a superintendent, that it's kind of the plan is laid out and everybody understands how to move forward. That's something that has been lacking, and it's just, it's differences of perspectives. So I think that's something we have to solidify relatively quickly so that we can move forward and everybody's on the same page.
Okay. Jonathan?
I just wanted to add one more thing. I just want to remind people that we are mostly self-insured. So with a stopgap of $150,000 per
Claim.
covered person,
Correct.
which is many hundreds of people. So being within 3% is pretty good, because one person having, you know, whatever it might be that is a large dollar amount, it only takes one or two of those and we're already at, you know, 300 grand more than average. So even if we build in some of the cushion of the budget, you still don't have full control over what the costs are, because we're responsible for the first 150,000 per person.
Can I make a point of clarification?
Sure.
The budget was not cut for the Board of Education from last year, and this included last year's, the majority of this was last year's funding, correct?
That is correct. We're talking the 23-24 budget.
Okay.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion passes unanimously.
I move to authorize an appropriation from the general fund in the amount of $6,235 to the police department vehicle maintenance line item. Funds received through a grant and are to be reallocated to the vehicle maintenance account.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
I move to approve a resolution for the transfer of funds between line items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Recording stopped.